Of late, I'm starting to see some questions in my comments. And the question goes something like, I'm new to this. I've got some money. I want to invest. Can you teach me how to invest? And that's a difficult ask. First of all, I'm a retired financial advisor, and as a result, I know that if I give you financial advice, I'm open for liability, particularly if I don't have a license in the state that you live. And since I no longer have an active license, I don't have a license in the state you live. So how do I teach someone to invest? And I've tried to break it down into a few steps. And the first one, I would say, is specialize. Find the area that you're interested in, that you want to pursue, that whether it's cannabis or it's EVs or it's semiconductors or it's AI, whatever it is, specialize and become as good as you can at it. And how do you do that? You read. This is a book that I read on semiconductors. I wanted to learn as much as I could about semiconductors because I believe they're going to change our world, as they are changing our world. They are going to make artificial intelligence available to us. They make autonomous vehicles available to us. They make PCs and telephones, mobile phones available to us. And their importance is just beginning to grow with the advent of artificial intelligence and then machine learning. So I wanted to specialize and put myself in a position where I know more about the semiconductor ecosystem than anybody else. If I can do that, and if I concentrate on it, I gain an advantage. So I read. I watch other YouTube presenters. I watch CNBC. I've picked a group of stocks, which I call the Bus 12 and Bus 13, who I believe are going to be the stocks that benefit most from semiconductors and AI. And then I learn about them. I listen to their earnings calls. And again, bring it down to 10 stocks so that every quarter you're listening to at least 10 earnings calls, and you understand why they are, where they fit into your ecosystem, and why they're going to have increased earnings or decreased earnings. The price of the stock is contingent upon their next quarter's earnings. Now, sometimes it's good when their projections are poor, such as right now, the semiconductor industry is going through a setback because of the lack of or decrease in interest in electric vehicles. Fewer electric vehicles are being sold, so therefore fewer semiconductors are being sold. But that will change. So it is expected that it will change somewhere in a third or fourth quarter. So if you have a stock that is critical to EV and PCs, and they make semiconductors, but right now, because of the downturn in those semiconductors, their price is cheap. Well, that's when you want to buy it. You want to buy stocks that are cheap. So if in your specialty, you know that this company has a moat built around it and it owns its category, and just because the shoppers aren't filling their carts up with the products now, but will be in second and third quarter, that's when you want to buy it. You do not want to buy NVIDIA today at $700 a share. When you wanted to buy NVIDIA, was back on October the 1st, 2015, when it was $6 a share. And you recognized that they were developing a GPU that was making gaming possible, and you had the foresight to say that kind of chip is going to be important in the future because of artificial intelligence and the demand it's going to be putting on computers and the data centers, and that those chips are going to be a part of a $250,000 computer that goes into a data center that enables artificial intelligence, and that data center is going to have 3,000 of them in it, and 8 chips will be in each one of those. And if you knew that, on October the 1st of 2015, you would have bought NVIDIA at $6 a share, and you would have the choice today to sell it for $700 a share. That's what you've got to do today. Recognize the change is coming, and then specialize in that change. Understand the ecosystem better than anybody else, so you can recognize the stock that is selling cheap. Then you need to study their financials. You need to understand what is it that drives that price up. Is it increase in revenues? Is it increase in earnings? Yes, it's increase in earnings. But how did they get the increase in earnings? Did they sell more stock as a result? And even though the earnings went up, your share of the earnings became diluted because they're selling stock? And diluting your shares? Well, you need to understand that and make your decision accordingly. Then you need to study the technicals. That's the charts. And you can see where their support levels are, where their lines of resistance are, which then gives you information as to when do I buy and when do I sell? When is it cheap? When is it expensive? When is the market going to turn? And that brings you need to study the social, political, and financial elements of the world we're in. How do interest rates affect my specialty of stocks? How does a inverted yield curve affect them? If you can study those things and come to a conclusion, you now hold an advantage over 95% of the people that invest in stocks. And that includes Wall Street, because they do not read. They do not understand inverted yield curves. All you've got to do is listen to CNBC or Fox Business, and you will hear them say, I heard someone today say, yeah, I think the thing to be is to buy these larger regional banks because I think they're going to benefit. Benefit from what? The overextension of regional banks in commercial loans and rental property in the big cities that are sitting 40% empty and on a quick route to become 60% entry, and all of their buildings that were valued at $10 million are now worth $40 million or $4 million. Is that why you want to buy those regional stocks? Because they're going to have to write that building down from 10 million to 4 million? Does that make sense to you? It doesn't to me. And when they write that building down and put it in foreclosure, and the taxes aren't going to be paid, and the utilities or the municipalities don't have the money coming in from property taxes anymore to pay the policemen, the firemen, and the teachers, and all the public officials, and they lay them all off, is that a reason to buy a larger regional bank? No, that's the reason to get the hell away from it and go find and see who's going to benefit in your category, in your specialty, from what you know is going to happen. And that's how you make a good investment decision. So now you have become an expert on what you own, and you know what you own, and you've been listening to the earnings calls, and you know who the CEO is, and you know who the CFO is, and you know from them exactly what they see happening in the future. And so you can make a better investment decision because nobody else is listening to that earnings call but you, I, and a few analysts who get paid $500,000 a year to advise their employers as to should we or shouldn't we. Now you're in an elite group. Now you're not buying anything and everything. You're only buying in your specialty. And your specialty is designed around technology that is going to change the world. So that's where you get that. Now, the other thing you must do is avoid FOMO, fear of missing out. And right now, the biggest FOMO in the stock market is a company by the name of NVIDIA. And I'm going to buy it at $700 a share because it's going to $1,400 a share. Oh, really? And why is that? Do they have a moat around them? I don't think so. I think there's several other people that I know of who are making similar chips to what NVIDIA is. And it's not like they have the secret of the world. There are other people who will improve upon NVIDIA's chip. Hell, it used to be Intel. It used to be Intel. They had the best chip in the world. They had the chip that was in every PC. Don't you remember when you used to buy a PC? There was a little Intel logo on there, and that was the best stock you could buy. But guess what? The world changed. Now it's NVIDIA, and it will be someone else. But you don't want to chase FOMO. You do not want to get involved in it. I told you about a stock called Supermacro Computers that was going to be assembling the parts from 3,000 parts in a 70-pound water-cooled computer and selling them to data centers. Well, they're selling every one that they can. But guess what? Once the data center is full, they got nothing else to sell. Now, yeah, well, the computer needs to be updated. How's that computer going to be updated? Well, it's probably going to not have an NVIDIA chip in it anymore. Those 8 NVIDIAs, it's going to be replaced by an ARM chip. Well, can we just go in and replace it rather than buy a whole new $350,000 computer? I don't know, but we need to know before we buy NVIDIA, don't you think? I think we do, and we will understand that by educating ourselves. If we have chosen our specialty, if we understand the ecosystem of our specialty, if we understand the economic system, what inverted yield curves are, what happens when interest rates go up, when they plateau, and then they go down, let's look at past history and learn. Once we do that, we're now ready to put our hard-earned money at work. So how do you start? Read. Pick your specialty. If it's cosmetics, you become the smartest person in the world of cosmetics. If it's cannabis, you become the smartest person in the world. If you're like me and it's semiconductors, technology, and change, you read this book. Okay, you can find this book at my website. It's in our store, and you go and buy it. If you're like me and you do not like to read, you're dyslexic like me, then you put earbuds in your ear, you buy the Audible copy, and then you go on a long walk and you listen to it. And you then buy the book, sit the book down in front of you, put the earbuds back in your ear, and read the words on the paper as they're being spoken to your ears. You will come away with an 80% comprehension level, and you will become the expert. And when you finish that book, go get another book. And if you don't belong to Audible, you go into the description, you find the Audible link, and you go to Audible, and you'll get your first book free. And it should be this, if your area of specialty is semiconductors. And semiconductors are in everything and will be in everything, and they're just going to get better because right after artificial intelligence, we have machine learning, we have cybersecurity, we have a whole world that is going to be built on that wafer, 1 foot by 1 foot, that has over 1 million semiconductors on it. That's right. You will learn that when you read this book. When you become a specialist, when you understand your field of study, and then you just pursue it. And you sit down at the table with everybody else on Wall Street and you kick their ass. Because you're not buying expensive, you're selling expensive stocks, and you're buying cheap stocks. I'm Kerry Grinkmeyer. I'm a retired financial advisor, CFP, CHFC, CLU, built one of the largest financial planning practices within the Ameriprise system, was consistently in the top 3, and then I sold it back in 2005, and retired and traveled the world and did my thing, and then I lost my daughter to cancer in 2014. I became angry. I became very angry. I became mean. That was when someone said to me, someone by the name of Nita, who I happen to be married to, you need to find something to do, or you need to find another place to live. Well, that's why I'm here today. Blame it on Nita, okay? If you'd like to learn more about this, what you need to do is get on the bus. I have a bus. It's where my tribe lives. We have about 1,200 tribe members right now that show up on Fridays on our Stock Talk, and we discuss this. We turn this into, rather than an individual sport, we turn it into a team sport. Our team right now, as I say, consists of 1,200 people. I'd like to add you to the team. I'd like you to bring your expertise. I'd like you to bring your questions. I'd like you to bring your life experiences to our tribe so that we have a stronger team. We're going to play in the Super Bowl this weekend. But first, we're going to talk on Friday. Hope to see you there.